Hey, this is MJ, and in today's tutorial I'm going to be showing you how to make a crossbody bag using this beautiful puff granny stitch pattern. The yarn that I'm using for this tutorial is Swish bulky weight yarn in Nutmeg Heather, but there are lots of beautiful colors to choose from. You can alternate colors as well. I'm showing you just with the solid color. So this yarn will need to be rolled into a cake before working with it, and I can link a tutorial for that for you if you've never done that before. I'll be using a 6mm crochet hook for the tutorial. I'm using my Dots crochet hook from We Crochet, and you get the entire set when you purchase them, so from size 2 up to the size 6. And I will link the hooks in the description box below. If you are watching this tutorial on its release, I do have a crochet along happening in my Facebook community group, and I've also put together an ebook with other granny style patterns. You can find all the details for that in the description box below. If you are watching this video and the crochet along has ended, I still invite you to come over and join my Facebook community. This is where you can ask all of your pattern support questions, post your pictures, and connect with other makers. If you find this tutorial too quick, I just wanted to mention that you can slow down tutorials on YouTube. Click on your settings and choose a slower speed, which is the gear icon below this video. Okay, so we'll need to make 4 squares, and we're going to begin with a magic ring. So wrap the yarn around your index finger 3 times, take your hook, slide it through all 3 loops on your finger, get mine through here, take your first loop, pull it through, and we'll chain 1. Now I'm going to do 6 puff stitches in the ring. I'm going to yarn over, go through, pulling up a loop, yarn over, go through, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through the ring, pulling up a loop, yarn over, and 1 more time. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 loops on the hook, yarn over, pulling through all the loops, and we'll chain 1. So when I'm doing this, I like to count, and it just makes it a little bit easier so I know how many times I'm going through. So I count 1, 2, 3, 4 times for this puff. Yarn over, pull through, chain 1. Now you want to make sure sometimes you're giving a little tug. You don't want it too tight on your hook that it doesn't glide through nicely like you're seeing that I'm doing. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Chain 1. And if there's any tension from your ball, that will tighten up when you're working and it will make it harder. So it's good to just keep your yarn nice and loose, and that will help make the puffs as well. So I'm going to continue making 6. Okay, I have 6. I've already chained 1. I'm just going to move my work out of the way. So now to close up this ring, we're going to take our tail. You're going to pull it. Now only 1 loop is pulling in. So take that loop that's pulled, give it a tug. It will pull the other loop in for you. And then you'll just take your tail again and pull. So now we'll just slip stitch in that first puff to join. And we're going to slip stitch over to the first chain 1 space. And we'll chain 1. Now we're going to work 2 puffs in every chain 1 space around. So chain 1, and now we'll make another puff in the same stitch. Chain 1. Now we'll go to the next chain 1 space between the puffs, chain one, and we're doing the same thing, chain one. So now in each chain one space around, complete 2, so we're going from 6 to 12. Okay, so 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and I'm going to slip stitch to join, and I'm going to slip stitch into, again, that chain one space, chain one. We're going to work now a puff, chain one, so one puff in the first chain one space, and then we're doing 2 in the next. So 1 and then 2, 1 and then 2. And so where you're doing the 1, it's going to be between the puffs, and when you're doing the 2, you'll have a bit bigger space, so it makes it a bit easier. So let's do our 2. Chain 1. Chain 1, and then 1. Okay, and just repeat that all the way around. We're going up another 6 stitches, so from 12 to 18. Okay, so once you get all the way around, we'll slip stitch to join, slip stitch to the chain 1 space, and this will be the last round of puffs. We'll chain 1, we're going to work 1 in the first chain 1 space, chain 1, we're going to work 1 in the next, and then 2 in the next. Okay, so you're going to repeat this pattern around now. So we'll do 1 in the next, 1 in the next, and then 2 in the next. And we're going up another 6, so this time we'll have 24 stitches. Okay, so I've worked all the way around. I'm going to slip stitch to join, and I'm going to slip stitch to the chain 1 space. Now I'm going to chain 3. I'm going to work 2 double crochets. I'm going to chain 2. And then I'm going to work 3 double crochets all in the same space. Okay, and that's going to make our first corner. Now I'm going to work 2 double crochets in the next chain 1 space. I'm going to work 2 double crochets in the next chain 1 space. I'm going to work 2 half double crochets in the next chain 1 space. I'm going to work 2 doubles in the next, and 2 doubles in the next. Okay, so we've gone across 6 chain 1 spaces now. We're basically repeating this now 3 more times to make our square. So we're coming to another corner, which will be 3 doubles, chain 2, and 3 doubles. Okay, so there's another corner. Now we're going to do exactly what we did here. We're going to have 2 doubles, 2 doubles, 2 half doubles, 2 doubles, 2 doubles, and we're just going to keep repeating this all the way around. So we'll go across this section with you. So we're doing 2 doubles. We're doing 2 doubles. Next chain 1 space, 2 half doubles, 2 doubles, 2 doubles, and now we're going to make another corner, and we're just continuing around in this manner. So I'm going to complete that you should be ending with 2 double crochets before the next corner. Okay, so I've worked all the way around. We're just going to slip stitch to join and fasten off. Okay, and I'm going to meet you back up once we have 4 completed. So once you have your 4 squares completed, we're going to begin seaming them together. And we're going to start by doing this edge as well as this edge. You can use your preferred seaming method, but I'm going to be showing you how to do the flat slip stitch join for this. Okay, so I have a slip knot on my hook. I'm going to go through this corner as well as this corner, and I'm just going to slip stitch to join. You want to keep that your yarn is to the center back. And now we're going to work along our stitches. So you want to identify your first stitch on this side, and we're going through that back loop. And then your first stitch over here, we're going through the front loop or both of the loops closest into the center. And we're pulling through, creating a slip stitch. And we're just going to work in this manner all the way across. Okay, it's going to make a nice seam. Okay, and when you get to the top, we're going to finish by slip stitching through the corners. Okay, and then we can fasten that off. Okay, we can weave in those tails, but I'm just going to go right to our next piece. So now we'll join in our next square and do the exact same thing. We're going to seam right along here as well. Going through the corners. And finishing in the corners. Now what you're going to do is fold your squares. So now we're getting our shape. And now we're going to have 3 sides to seam. So we can begin here so that we can continue all the way around. Just make sure you get the first stitch. Okay, so I've worked up to this corner. We're just going to continue. We're going to go through the corner, go through the corner, slip stitch, and then really just keep going. So here's our first stitch on this side, first stitch on this side. Chain 3 is a little tighter to get through, but just work it just like a stitch. And just keep going. Okay, when we get to the next corner, going down through this corner, working our slip stitch. And now we're working our way back. We just keep going. Make sure you find that first stitch each side. Okay, almost there, just keep going. Okay, so we're finishing up with the last corner. Work that slip stitch. And then I'm going to chain 1. So make sure when you're weaving those tails just to do them all to the inside. And now I'm going to slip stitch around. Just make sure not to do them too tight. We're just going through each stitch. So now when you get to the corner, we're going to skip over this chain 1 or this corner, and we're going to slip stitch into the next corner, and that's going to basically be for the center seam, but it just, rather than trying to squish into there, just go into the corner and keep working around. And at this corner, just slip stitch and keep going. Okay, so once we've worked around, we're going to slip stitch into that first corner. I'm going to chain 1. And now you're going to turn your work to the side. So here you can see your slip stitch edge, and then back here we're going to work into this loop. Now I'm going to change over to my smaller hook. Okay, so my 5.5 millimeter, I'm going to single crochet into this back loop around. So I'm coming up to my corner and I have some brass rings. You could use wooden rings, really whatever you want. If you want to go with something like this for a strap, the brass would look nice with it. Or attaching, plus we of course can make a crochet strap as well. So maybe I will do the gold. So as we get to the corner, we're going to work right down into it. So take your ring, and I'm going to crochet three just to make sure it's nice and secure. And then I'm going to continue working over to the other corner. Okay, so I've worked to my other corner. I'm going to do the same thing. Okay, so I've worked all the way around and I have just a tiny bit of yarn left. So if you were going to just go with a strap that you buy from something like this that I bought from Amazon, you should be able to make this with one hank. Now it's really close, so you definitely have to be on par with my gauge because I only have this little tiny bit left. If you're going to crochet your strap, you'll definitely want to grab an additional hank for this. So we'll slip stitch to join, fasten off, and then weave in all of these tails. So any of your tails that are pushed out like this, we're just going to push them to the inside. Okay, and then you can weave these, hiding them through the back stitches. Okay, and make sure you weave back up in the opposite direction as well. So here's one option. Okay, so I worked on making a second bag. So this one I've attached this strap, and I wanted to show you if you would prefer to make a crocheted strap instead. We're going to show that method as well. So now if you know that you're not going to remove the strap at all, you could easily work from your ring and crochet your strap. Now, because I may want to mix and match, I purchased these attachments from Michaels. I will check out Amazon for you to see if I can find any on there as well, but I really liked the gold, so I went with the brass again for this. So I'll end up being able to attach this to my ring, and I can make my strap on these rings, and I can change it up if I want to add a different type of strap. Going to be using my 6mm hook. I have my piece for my strap, and I'm going to start out with a slip knot on the hook. There's lots of ways you can make a strap. Really, you can choose your preferred method. I'm going to show you a really simple Tunisian knit stitch for this strap. I'm going to go through the ring with my hook, pulling up a loop. I'm going to yarn over, pulling through one loop only. So there's now 2 loops on the hook. Go through, pulling up a loop, yarn over, pull through 1. We now have 3 on our hook. And we're just repeating. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to go with 6. I think that's enough for the size. If you're using a Tunisian hook or a larger hook and you want to put more and make that strap thicker, you can go ahead with that. Now we're going to yarn over, pulling through 1 loop only, and that's going to count as our chain 1 as we come back across. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, all the way across. Our loop on our hook counts as that starting chain, and now as you see all of these loops popping up here, we're going to work down in between them. Pull up a loop, pull up a loop, pull up a loop, pull up a loop, and then we have our last one right here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Going to go through those 2 loops, pulling up a loop. So now we have 6 on the hook again. You can always give those a tug as you go so that they're not too tight. We're always going to yarn over, pulling through 1, and then yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2, and work that all the way. Okay, again, we have this loop on our hook. It's going to count as our chain, and then we're going down through the next stitch. And we do that all the way across. And then we're going to go through right here for the last one. Again, just make sure you have those 6 loops on your hook as you work. Pull through 1 and then yarn over, pulling through 2 as you go across. And then you can really make your strap as long as you... Okay, so I've been working away on my strap and I've ended up going with about 30 inches. I'll need to weave in that tail. I'm going to show you how to finish it off. So I'm going to come back across my strap here. Okay, and I'm going to take my ring now. I'm going to go through it as I work. So I'm going to place it here. And I'm going to go through and work a single crochet. Okay, so through the next single crochet, okay, and then if you pull it, you'll see that it's going to look just like how, pretty much the same as how we started. So then we can fasten this off. So what I suggest doing now is before you weave in any tails attached to your bag, try it on if it's for yourself or for your child, and see what you think about the length. Okay, this isn't on me. It's a little bit lower. It's not quite tight against my chest. If you prefer that, what I would suggest doing is just pulling it back until you get it the right length. So you could always try it on and see how many rows you need to pull out to get it the right. And it's really easy to pull out. I'm going to show you just so you can see how simple it is. So don't be scared about pulling your work back out. This only takes a minute to do, so I'm just going to pull it out for you. So what you want to do is pull back so that you see your loops, and then all you're going to do once you pull back as much as you want, just take the loops, put them back on your hook just like this, and then just continue, finish it off as I showed you. Okay, so you're going to want to weave in your tail. And I just want to mention again, don't weave it until you are certain that you have the right length. Okay, so I have woven in that tail, and then I just need to do my starting tail as well. Okay, so now I have the strap complete. Everything is finished. You could add a personalized tag to finish your bag off, or just leave it like this. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel and tap the bell to stay updated on all my new videos and tutorials. Make sure to check that description box for all the links for the supplies and the pattern. Thanks so much, guys. Have an awesome day.